Okay, so I'm just waiting for Jax Atlantis. Hi, Jax. Oh, wait, do I have that thingy in? Okay. Now you can request to join.
And it looks like
Hey.
it's still connecting. Okay, how's it going?
It's going awesome.
All right, babe. So, what are we doing today?
A Q&A.
Awesome. I guess I would do that. I didn't know if you wanted to speak more on that or if you wanted to be like, today we're doing a Q&A.
Like, no, I'm directly just gonna answer you.
We're doing a Q&A.
What are you talking about?
Remember? Remember, because that's why you're here. What's up, Andrew? How have you been?
Hey guys, how's it going?
What you been tasting recently, Andrew? Valerie's here. How's it going, Valerie? Oh yeah, if everyone can share this, I will literally be happy if you share this.
Like
literally. I will literally not be sad if you share this.
That's literally what that means, guys.
I literally will process feelings of joy if you do that.
Yeah,
okay,
so share, please. Hi, Kelly.
So today we're going to be answering questions. They can be about anything. With your powers, or are you just like, just as far as like eating some? And emotions. Pork belly and emotions. That's a good mix.
That could be a spirit animal.
That's, yeah. you might be, I don't know what the rules are about eating your spirit animals. Like while they're showing up to you. Like, can I spirit like cook you and eat you? And they're like, I mean, I would appreciate it if you didn't, but thank you for literally sharing, Valerie. I literally appreciate that. There's no metaphor here. It's like a genuine appreciation.
So what do you think? Have people ask some questions?
Yeah. You can either ask questions, you can use smoke signals, you can train carrier pigeons to bring us little notes. You'll have to know our addresses and train the pigeons, which is going to take some man hours, but I think you guys can do this. Or you can just comment. Jack, you're beaming ear to ear. I am beaming ear to ear. I've been just, I've been adding a lot of beams in my diet.
You look so handsome.
Yeah. Well, you look handsome. Other people can attest. Handsome is also it's unisex. Handsome can be used for girls as well.
Yeah, he's bringing it back. He's bringing back when handsome was used for women too.
Looking for my love. Oh yeah, so I'm seeing. Okay, first questions. What is your spirit animal, Jax? Well, Andrew, my spirit animal. I've got like a ton of them, but the one that to me is like the most important one of all is the hummingbird. Hummingbird is my #1 totem because it was the very first one I ever discovered, and it just has like a deep connection to my spiritual journey and my soul. Hummingbirds are just so weird, and for me at the time that I was exploring my spiritual journey in the beginning, I felt such a outcast. Like none of my other 15-year-old friends were interested in anything like it, so I was just bizarre. So I studied it in secret, and then when I discovered the hummingbird totem, it was about basically being a radiant form of yourself, just being genuinely 100% yourself with no adjustments, no edits, just being this pure, authentic, creative being. And because of that, the hummingbird is, special in its own way. And the truth is, if we're all being ourselves, we all find out that we're actually all really incredible and special in these different ways. So like we're all more interesting when we're really being ourselves and not just being a caricature of what we think everybody wants us to be, because that's pretty boring. We just know so many millions of people that like are like that. They're just this rehash of kind of like what they've been told. And when someone is just being themselves genuinely and they're just like putting it out there, saying what they think, they're actually pretty interesting. No matter who you are, no matter what your interests are, you're an interesting person if you're being yourself. So it's really special. That's right. Yeah, exactly. I'm a weirdo and I'm proud of it.
Mecha hummingbird.
A mecha humming. Yeah, no, that was so funny. What was that? How did that come about again?
Um, the robot guide thing.
Oh yeah. So she detected my spirit guide like months ago, and she described it as a robot. And the other day I was just telling her, I was like, yeah, I've got this one spirit guide that basically just sounds very robotic or whatever, and it's like my hummingbird totem. And so we came to the conclusion that it was like this robotic mecha hummingbird, metaphorically. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, your turn, Miss Ry. What's your spirit animal?
My spirit animal. Um, I've seen you know, you have like several at like different times and depending on like what's going on. But I think like the one that has been the most prominent is probably like a deer for me.
I could see that.
Like that's the one that
Yeah,
I've
the deer.
seen the most in like meditations and stuff like that.
Yeah, what does the deer represent to you?
Um, I for me, I feel like it represents like a quiet strength. It's like this like they're like beautiful and like cautious, but they have like this like quiet strength to them and they're also like really like gracious about it.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
them
so
like
too.
they're so like underrated how like strong for a deer and like especially with like the antlers and I always feel like really drawn to like antler stuff.
Yeah. No, I always get the guardian energy with deers and stags. Like they're really interesting characters. I think their strength is underrated too. They are really strong.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to mess with one
Or
for
I
sure.
or I would say like a snow owl.
Yeah, snow owl. Yeah, no, definitely. You're a vanilla bandicoot
A vanilla
for
bandicoot.
sure, for sure, for sure. I've got like a million nicknames for her that are just totally random, and one of them is Vanilla Bandicoot. Um, yes. So a couple of cool questions here. Can a gargoyle be a spirit animal? Yeah, I would say yes. In the same way that like a dragon or like a minotaur or another or like a hydra can be a spirit animal. To me, this is where it gets like into a debate, but to me it's not in a literal sense. There isn't literally a gargoyle energy, but I think that the creation of that myth, uh, so many times that we've created it, means that there's like an inherent energy within us or a projection of that energy that does exist, even though it's not literal. So I don't literally believe in gargoyles, nor like do I literally think that there's like a minotaur out there. But I believe that the energy is valid as a spirit guide because we created that myth and we've done so in a lot of different ways, unbeknownst to each other's cultures for like a very, very, very long time. So it clearly exists to a degree. There's like an anthropomorphic like figurehead that we love to create. Like you can think of Egyptian mythology, you can think of, you know, European mythology, you can think of all types of different mythologies that have created this idea over and over again. And that's because even if it's not literally real, there's an element of it that is real. So the short answer is yeah, I think a gargoyle can, just not in the same way that like a mountain lion would, because mountain lions just straight up exist. They exist now. They've existed for a long time, and they're going to keep existing for a long time. But I think that also brings up the question of is a spirit animal less valid or more valid if it has existed? For instance, like saber tooth. I don't hear many people talking about their saber tooth tiger guide, but there's no reason that that can't be a guide. It doesn't exist anymore, but there's no reason that it can't be part of that collection. So I think it's all about perception, honestly. If you feel a genuine connection to it, it exists. If you don't feel a genuine connection and it just feels like you're more so playing with imagination, then it doesn't really exist, you know. But to one person's imagination is another person's reality a lot of times. So we have to keep that in mind. That's a cool question. Crystal Brown, yes, I have checked my email, and your epilogue for your story is amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. I've seen a gargle before, very protective. Thank you, Lexi. We try and be cute as often as possible. And yeah, Valerie, you might have also been really high. You might have also seen it, but never asked this. But oh, sorry. Do you want to take the next question?
Oh wait, what? What question?
Yeah, I was just scrolling through the comments, going through questions. Do
Oh,
you want to
okay.
take the next one?
Sure. Um, there's one that I was like wanted to say something about. Let's see. Okay. For Rusan Jian, you're saying that you had a man speak to you and tell you in your left ear things that will happen. Is that a guide? And it's two different men, but you don't recognize their voices. So the best thing to do is to use discernment in any situation. You want to use discernment. Definitely, if you just like hear something, don't take that as it is. Take it as a grain of salt. Um, Even like some lessons. You can go through some lessons from some of the things that you get from spirit. So you always want to be like, why is this happening? I always like to go through like, why is this happening? Like, um, how can I like look into this more? um is this something that I'm manifesting like through my ego? So I like to look at all the different angles, and discernment is something that you want to practice a lot. Like, how are you hearing it? Does it sound positive? Does it sound negative? um and how is your energy feeling about it too? So definitely don't just like, you know I like to set intentions so things aren't randomly happening. um like, unless I'm deciding, okay, I'm sitting down, I'm like gonna like talk to spirit. Other than that, if unless I set the intention that I'm reading or for myself or somebody else, then like I don't take anything else that comes up as anything really.
Yeah.
You could like, there's so many different like possibilities. So unless like I do like a reading to know for sure, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, to me, that's a big thing, actually. I would say that, there's a lot of times in the journey of awakening where we don't necessarily have the answer or all the details, but we still know the answer enough. We still know if it feels good or if it feels bad. We still know if it feels true or if it feels false. Like, there's a lot that we do know. So you might not know exactly know the point of origin and how it occurred and to what degree do you have access and to what degree do you have consistent, connection. But all those things will sort themselves out over time. Really, if the more you practice trusting yourself and trusting your intuition, the more your intuition feels respected, like a person would if you trust them more often than not. And then the more that they'll speak because they feel respected. And so your abilities, just treat them like they're a best friend or something.
And
Would you
how is
ignore
that
your
making
best
you
friend?
feel
Yeah.
too? Is it like messing with your head? Like, is it
Right.
like, does some say something that like makes your fears worse, makes you more on edge or worried about things, like, or is it something that is like helpful? Because usually like it's like sometimes I'll hear something that happens, like a conversation that happens later on between people and stuff like that. Like that usually is something that like will happen. There's like so many different aspects. Like I could go on literally forever about this kind of stuff. It would have to be like
Yeah.
a mentorship or something.
Yeah. Yeah, you've had a lot of those experiences. And
Discernment
yeah, I know.
thing I went through a lot of. So
Yeah, and discernment's a really tricky one because we try so hard to build a rule system. And the thing about discernment is it doesn't obey a rule system. Discernment is basic, moment by moment. It's just like, it's like evolution, you know, it's like the environment is one way and all the beings are evolved in such a way where they can handle it. Well, the environment starts to change. So is it a good thing or a bad thing that there's going to be a change? Well, it doesn't really matter because the beings there have to change and evolve, or they don't change and evolve, and then they can't handle it. And it's not about good or evil. It's about what's right for me, what's wrong for me, and what's the case right now.
Yeah.
Trying to build rules and dogmas around it is the most tempting thing, because then we feel like we got it, like we figured it out, we put it in a box, and
It
we
could
can
be
like study it
dangerous
and
too.
analyze it. But yeah, the truth is, it's chaos. It's chaos. That's our discernment. It's honest chaos, and the honest chaos can give us real answers that don't follow a set of rules. And that's why there's so many people that get so fed up with religions and different things, because they're like, you know, I can just clearly recognize that there's all these rules and things that aren't necessary. It's like, well, yeah, that's the only direction they have to go. A lot of times they have to build those rules if they want to stick around as a religion or as a spirituality. And so we
Yeah,
have
it's
to
more of
take
like a,
the, yeah.
it's more of like a system to keep you in there rather than
Yeah.
growing, like going internally and looking at why can't you explore anything that you want to? Like
Yeah.
it's when religions, it's like, oh no, you can't like do this, you can't do that. That this religion is so bad, this one's evil. Why can't you study all the religions and like do whatever you want? Like make your
Yeah.
own decisions. Like there's so much limitation when you're like in a religion. There's so much limitation.
Yeah. It's really tricky. It's really tricky and really scary, because there's just like, there's no reason that our beautiful, incredible minds should ever be told to not think about other things.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the thing is right, if the religion's right, or the person or the cult or the spirituality, whatever, if they're correct, then they have nothing to fear for us thinking about other things. It's only when they know that there's other valid ideas that oppose it that they tell us, no, don't think about that. Um, but yeah, I would love to do a message for Linda. Do you want to do some, like, I don't know, some like readings for people and stuff? We can just
Yeah,
do
we can
them
do
back and
that.
forth. That'd be awesome. Yeah, and everyone, can you share? We'd love it all if you all shared to like one good spiritual group or timeline or whatever. That'd be great, and that would really help us out. Linda, I'm gonna go ahead and just pull a message for you, and then Ry, you can take a stab at it. Oh, Linda, nice. Aquarian energy, you got the Magician card. I love the
Mm-hmm.
Magician card. So, Magician card by itself isn't so much an answer to anything. It's really suggesting it's time for you to just click the reset button on your computer and allow yourself to start fresh. The Magician is all about potential. It's about potential financially, emotionally, mechanically, and intellectually, and then restarting a potential of your actions. And so you have to like look in all these different areas of your life where you can apply this potential, what this potential means. And we have a very finite amount of potential in our lifetime, and it's based on a timeline pretty much. Like the longer we go on, the less open potential we have, and the more we have to kind of get serious about like one path of potential, or at least narrow it down to kind of a few, because we can't be like a 5-year-old forever, and we can't have like endless potentials open, because there just isn't, time for that. The Magician basically is a signal, though, that it's a good time for you to be extremely open-minded about all the potentials that you have, what you could do with those things, and then how you can apply yourself with it. And it's an Aquarian energy here. So this isn't just about potential like, oh, I could join this kind of class or something. It's a potential that says I could make a difference still. I can make a difference in the world still. My journey's still young still. And a lot of times people depict the Magician as an older character, which I always think is really interesting, because the Magician's a pretty adolescent energy. It's like a teenager. A Magician is like, I haven't yet graduated high school. I'm just about to. And now I've got like a million college opportunities that are open, or trade schools, or none of the above, and entrepreneurship, or or I can stick with the classic 9 to 5. And the Magician lays out all these different options, and it says, what are you going to do about it? And then with that, then we of course move into the high priestess, the empress, and the emperor phases of our life, and or we don't, if we don't do any of the lessons. But the magician's like a really cool call to action. It says, time to reevaluate, Linda. Like, what are all of your potentials right now? And whatever one really stands out to you, go for it. Like, freaking start running right towards it. I love it. I love that card.
That's so good. You're so good at explaining the cards.
Thank you.
Okay, so am I doing her now, or?
Oh yeah, you can do whatever. You can answer a spiritual question. We're kind of doing a live Q&A tonight, guys. So just really any questions you have about anything. They don't have to be like classic reading questions. They can be just about how to use a specific gift, how to tap into certain things. And me and her are just gonna go back and forth, and we're gonna whatever. We're just gonna answer it. Yeah.
Perfect. Like this. Wait, you gotta go.
God, my hand's giant.
That's like the same size.
Here we go.
Okay.
Can I hold your hand?
Okay.
So romantic. I don't know if I could. I probably kissed your armpit or something. Oh. Here, I got an idea. There we go. That's efficient. Yeah.
Okay, anyways. Let's see. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Linda. I'm so glad that resonated. I'm glad that you dig it. Okay. And thanks for some shares, guys. It looks like we just got a few shares. That's awesome.
Does anyone have any questions?
And throw some curveballs. Ask the most difficult questions you can even think of.
Yeah, just ask something crazy.
Throw it out there. Like, try and trick us. Like try and pull the wool from under our feet.
If anybody could figure it out, we can.
Nothing too open though. Not like what's the meaning of life, and then we're sitting here for like 20 minutes going on these tangents and like explaining, like just fast, hard curveballs.
Like kind of narrowed a little bit.
I forgot. I need to share this to some groups as well.
I know, isn't it, Linda? Let me get it. Wait, hold on.
Oh.
What?
Hey, I want you to take a look at this question. What do you think of Angela's question? I'm at a point where a last name feels like a label / ownership, a form of ownership. What do you think Angela should do about that? Or what's your take on that? She feels as though her last name is kind of like a form of ownership.
You just like using your last name? Like, is it a married name? Is that why? Or is it just your last name in general? I'm confused about that.
For me, the comments are scrolling too quickly, so I missed that one. But I'm sure if she clarifies that, yeah.
So I'm just confused because is it like, oh, I'm a label as like being married?
Oh, she said my fathers and husbands in general, yeah.
So just having a last name in general, you feel labeled? That's an interesting question. I feel like something that you're craving a lot is probably like your freedom. That's like the most like innate thing I think that would cause us happiness is to have freedom in like all aspects. I don't think I never thought of the last name of you like belonging to somebody. I've never thought of it like that. I feel like that's something that there's probably something behind that that's making you feel that way. Um, because you belong to yourself. So your last name is just like your family name. I mean, I guess I kind of understand if you get married and you're just like, why should I have to take his last name kind of thing. But I don't know. I'm kind of like stuck on this question. What do you think?
For me, I mean, I don't know. Like Angela, I've got a similar thing. But the thing is, I'm a man, so I have a different point of view on this because like the man usually like his last name goes to the person he marries. So like for me, my real name, everybody. A lot of you wonder if my name in real life is Jax Atlantis. My real name is actually Tannen Dell, and my great grandfather immigrated from Ireland, and his last name was Odell originally. So he was an Odell, but people didn't like Irish people back then when he immigrated here. So he just dropped the O and thought that as long as his kids didn't have the accent, as long as they spoke like Americans and had the last name like Dell, that we'd be accepted as Americans, we'd be able to get jobs and stuff. And so when I learned that when I was like 12 or something, I don't know, I spent the last few years of my life, I mean, the last like decade or so of my life, just thinking about if ever I wanted to put the O back or not. Because there's part of me that feels like on one hand there's this antiquated legacy and there's still something, I mean, to me kind of special and romantic about engaging with that, being an Odell. And then part of me thought of as far as like, well, the new legacy is Dell because it's been, like multiple generations now. There's my grandpa, my father, me, like we've all been Dells. And then part of me, when I used the name Jax Atlantis, when I originally started, putting myself out there in the spiritual community and stuff, it was like part of me actually a few times has flirted with the idea of changing my actual name to Jax Atlantis. And so for me, it just comes down to this. I say, because, like, with all the thought that I put into it and weighing it back and forth, eventually I'm like, you know what? The right thing for me to do, like the right thing, is just to do what I feel. If I want Odell, I'm going to just pop an O in there. If I want it to be Atlantis, freaking Atlantis, and all future generations of my children and their children are going to be
Start
Atlantis,
your whole
then I
new
should put an
legacy.
Atlantis there. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, Angela, if I were you, I'd honestly think long and hard and just ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want my last name to be? And then you know what? I know it's pretty inconvenient after the first time you've changed it, but I might just change your last name. Just change it to something that resonates with you. And then if you get, like, if you ever consider changing it again in the future or something, then you can do that too. But just follow your heart with that one because your identity is a big deal. But the thing is, I would say choose with your heart, like whatever last name you're considering. And then after you've chosen with your heart, go on a numerology website and look up what your new last name would put in for your numerology numbers, not in reverse order, not planning it out, but do that because that way you can see if the numerology report matches what you really feel and who you really are, or if it feels like it's this off-kilter thing. Because it'd be pretty cool if you happen to look at your numerology with your current name and then it doesn't really feel like you or match, and you switch it to some other name and then you check it and then, hey, there you go, it matches perfectly. Like, try that out. Like, that'd be really cool.
That's like a way better answer. Like
Yeah.
I don't really know. I know like
Yeah, there's no right or wrong with it. I mean,
yeah.
it's a tricky thing. Some people love their last names. Some people hate their last names. It's
Hmm.
yeah. I've always been the last name thing has always been a very it's been always something that's attached to my heart because I've been weighing out if I should change it for like the past decade of my life. But I get what
Yeah,
you mean.
that's
You don't want to belong to someone. I get that. I totally get that.
well that's not what like especially you shouldn't have to feel that way like
Yeah.
at all that you belong to somebody. Like it's not an ownership kind of thing.
Okay, the comments are just loading up over here. Here we go. Um, Paula Weber Jackson, with the South Node being in the first house of
Same one
someone's
of me.
chart. Oh, it's the same one you're looking at? Yeah. With the South Node being in the first house of someone's chart and that representing a completion of one's karmic cycle in this life, could that possibly mean there would be no more physical incarnation? I would say, I mean, I've heard a lot of different explanations to what represents how far you are in your chart in the journey of life cycles. No one's nailed it down because I've met people that kind of break the rules in all those different scenarios. Like one, for example, one scenario I've heard is that the ascendant sign in your chart represents the general like percentage of how far you are. So if your ascendant is in Aries, it means you're a fairly new soul. But if your ascendant is in Pisces, it means you're like coming up on some of your final lives. And I've met people that feel like very new souls that have ascendants in Pisces. I've met people that feel like very new souls that have their ascendant in, very old souls that have their ascendant in like Aries or Taurus. And so to me, it's like you don't find that type of answer in sort of a solid way. But I would say actually ask yourself the question, how far am I in my incarnation cycle? Because if you're learning the lessons each lifetime, if you're connecting to those, then in my belief, you're moving forward. And I believe that the more you connect with yourself, the more you look at your own energy and ground and connect with energy healing and astral travel, the more you're going to start just knowing how far you are along.
How far along is
So,
Scorpio?
excuse me. Yeah, Scorpio is number 8 in the chart. So you've passed the midpoint of Libra. Once you hit Libra, you're at 50%. Then you're starting to go over into the wheeze, right?
Right.
So,
That
for
makes so
instance,
much sense with Libra and like, you know, being right in the
exactly.
middle.
Exactly, because Libra is a cardinal Scorpio fixed, and at the very tippy top of the chart. And so once you've gone from Aries down here, like I am, and then I have, and then I think over in Gemini, I feel in Cancer, I love in Leo, and then like I serve in Virgo, and then you get to the we. So you stop becoming a single identity, and you start becoming part of the collective when you hit Libra. We are, and then Scorpio is we have, such as like we as in a relationship, our relationship has. And then you get over to Sagittarius, we think, because Sagittarians are very serious about philosophy and community and spirituality. And then over to Capricorn is like I achieve instead of I feel, we achieve, and so on and so forth. So it just continues on this path of the I all the way to the we, the most baby form of you, all the way to the most eldest form of you.
I love it. I don't know as much about astrology as Jax does. So I love learning about all this with him. When I read like a chart, I'm like, oh, this is Diamond Plus. Like Diamond Plus
So
isn't um
we have this hilarious, funny language we invented. So we were looking at a natal chart. She's like, okay, so what's the one that's like Diamond Plus? And I was like, what? Diamond Plus? And she's like, yeah, it's the one that's like a diamond and a plus sign. I'm like, oh, the Pallas asteroid. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's not called Diamond Plus. But then she just kept going with it and just, like useless farm tool is the moon because it looks like a sickle that doesn't have a handle. Moon Plus is the Lilith formation. What was it?
there's an H plus, right?
H plus is aka Saturn, and then there's like silly 4, which is Jupiter. It's silly because it's like it's just flopping over. It's hilarious. I would love. We're gonna make a video on her interpretation of a natal chart reading sometime, just because that would be just hilarious.
What one is nipple ring?
The sun is nipple ring. The sun is nipple ring.
No, that one's just the nipple. It's a nipple ring that's like.
Which one is
And
nipple
then
ring?
the dot in the middle is like. It looks like an upside down septum piercing, and then a dot in the middle.
Oh, you're talking about the North Node, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Yeah, Your north node is your upside down septum nipple ring. So just so you guys know. I wish
Okay.
I could show you my
We'll
screen
call it
right now. And
upside
then
down septum ring.
yeah, then you got the Keyblade right now for Chiron. And then you've got I don't know.
Oh, alien
I
guy
don't know.
looks like.
Oh, Mercury. Yeah. I love it.
Mm.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, Sarah's here. How's it going, Sarah?
Hey, Sarah. Love
How
you.
would one get their chart done like you said, Jax? Yeah, well, I mean, I do natal chart readings, and any astrologer you find that you vibe with, get a natal chart reading because what a natal chart reading does is we basically pull up the ring of the zodiac, right? So we have Aries all the way to Pisces. And then we've got your sun sign, which pretty much everybody knows. Like you can look it up anywhere online. Your sun sign, which represents your soul. And then you've got your moon sign, which a lot of people don't focus on. But moon sign represents the way you feel about everything and the way you project all of your feelings. Your ascendant is like your personality and your persona. And then your Venus sign, which is how you build relationships and socialize with people. Your Mercury, which is crazy alien guy, as she was saying, and that's like the way that you process your logic, your intel gathering, and your communication, in that way. So that's a big one. There's a lot of big ones that we just never even look into. We just kind of look at like the sun sign, and there's so much more to astrology.
It
I
is
never respected
so
astrology.
crazy. I love it.
Yeah.
Like,
I never respected astrology until I got into all the deep stuff.
oh my God.
Like,
It is so
be-
on point when you get your whole chart. You're like, everything makes sense in my life. Like,
yeah, and I got like
like,
the Mars sign to figure out physical act. When I found out my Mars was in Gemini, I was like, oh, weird. What does that mean? Like when I'd got my chart read a couple of years back, and she's like, well, Mars is in Gemini would mean that you probably like talk with your hands a lot, and that you'd probably, because Gemini is ruled by the hands and arms, and like the body part connections and everything. I'm constantly talking with my hands. She makes fun of me
he's like,
for
I
that
call
all
him
the
a hand
time.
model because like he has like such nice hands. Like, they're so nice, and then he moves them so nice. Like you should be a magician.
I don't have nice hands. They're normal hands. These are just normal guy
No, they're
hands.
nice,
But I'm just
and
constantly,
they
I'm
move.
just constantly talking. I have hands. I have hands, basically. So Mars and Gemini means you have hands, which is a pretty big one.
And I found out I have no fire in my chart, which makes so much
Yeah,
sense.
she's fireless. I got like 8% fire, but I'm just a total airhead. I'm like 57% air, which is insane. That's why I never stop like thinking or talking. I'm either thinking or talking constantly. How much to get it done by you? Well, it depends. So, like, how much time we take. So, if you want to do like a full natal chart reading, we want to spend like half an hour on it. I can give you rates for that and everything. If you want just like a quick look at a specific thing, we'll make like a quick session price for that. So, yeah, just message me though after the show. You guys can all find me, Jax Atlantis. You can just friend me or message me or whatever. My website's www.jaxatlantis.com, and so you can always check there.
Yeah, he does like the best. I love it.
Thank you, baby. I think she does the best. I think she's the brilliant
Well, I
one.
don't do natal charts. Thank you.
Well, you know what? I don't have a comeback for that, so I'm just gonna think on that.
I'm like, oh yeah.
It's funny. She's the only one.
I'm not gonna be telling people about their diamond pluses.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let you do someone's natal chart because you'll have them being like, I don't know what my diamond plus is, but apparently it's near my crisscross in my bowl. With my AC, which is I think air conditioning, and it's turned on in full Libra, and I don't know what that means, and yeah, that'd be.
I know the zodiac signs. I know, like what they are. I know like the meaning behind each zodiac sign, and I can feel the energy behind each zodiac sign. So I know that the sign that yeah.
Yeah. I would say you're a very empathic type of astrologer. I think that once we dig more into that you'll be that you'll be more connected to all the terminology. But I think, so the thing to me that's really important, I believe it was Patty B in here who was suggesting earlier that she was an empathic astrologer and wondering what to do about that. For anyone here who is an empathic astrologer or channels the planets, you're important. Just literally go out there and do your thing. The reason that's so important is because there's a lot of people that think that what astrology is it's about memorizing facts. And then you just memorize the facts, and then you just say the facts. And the problem with that is that if you don't couple intuition into the threading, or you don't couple, empathy, or you don't couple like your clairvoyance or something into it, then it's just this long list of possibilities. If you don't use any intuition or any empathy, then astrology reading sounds like this. It looks like you're someone who's either really aggressive or you're not very aggressive at all. And it looks like you're someone who's like really communicative or you don't talk much. It's like, well, which one is it? That's like the whole freaking spectrum. So if you don't use anything in it, then it doesn't tell you anything. It's just a list of could be's. But if you use empathy and you use the clairvoyance and you use intuition, then you'll be able to be like, you're someone who's really uptight about this type of thing. And that's a direct statement. And it's like the truth or it's not the truth. And then they say back to you like, oh my God, that's so crazy. How did you know that? Where in the chart does it say that? That's the number one thing that they'll say. And you'll be like, well, all I saw was the fact that Mars was over here in Virgo, but I could just totally tell just based on your moon placement, I could just feel the moon and Mars talking. Now, in a literal sense, of course, the planets aren't talking. And in a literal sense, they're not thinking either. But they do have this energy that they radiate, and that energy in conjunction with the other energies is what creates the whole system of astrology. And a lot of people say there's no evidence of that. And it's like, fine. But you know what? This goes back to the Mayans. We've been doing this for a minute now. Actually, no, it goes back to the Vedic texts. We've been understanding and feeling that the planets project an energy for so freaking long as far as human beings. And some people argue, well, that's just because we're putting our archetypal stories onto the stars. And it's like, no, we felt it in the first place for them. That's why people who were uncivilized were having extremely civilized thoughts and organized thoughts enough to create a system like this in the first place. And of course, it's evolved over time, but we created this a long time ago. We figured this out long before we figured out bathrooms, long before we figured out education systems. So no one's going to ever convince me that the planets don't have a soul to them, because they clearly do. We can
like
feel
best to learn things like in an archetypal kind of way, learn how to be able to connect to that. And then I channel the planetary energies when I'm doing like energy readings. And then me and Jax, like, we'll just talk about it. Like, I'll call him and I'll be like, oh my God, the energies are going cray today. Like, what the heck is going on? And it like always matches up to like what the planets are doing. Like, I just want we should do some lives sometimes where we do that. It's like validation.
Yeah.
People, I feel like.
I'd be like, okay, what are the emotions of today? And you're going to be like, I don't know. Today they feel like these emotions are extremely rambunctious for some reason. I'm like, boom, that's because we got Moon in Aries and third decan. Wow. It's like, yeah.
Literally, like last night, I'm like, I all of a sudden have this like rush of energy, like after like yesterday. And he's like, oh yeah, we just went into Aries. Like, oh, yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And we're about to go Moon into Taurus. And so all of a sudden we're going to have this deep connection with like our things around us, like the things that we have and the connections and business deals that we make, everything around the material. And so a lot of people are going to be like, I don't know what it is. I'm not a greedy person, but I just feel like it's really important that I just have this thing or that I work towards it. And that's just it. It's all about going with the flow.
And that's why understanding yourself is so important too, because the energies around you are affecting you. So like seeing like what's, coming from yourself, what's coming from like other things that are projected onto you. It's good to know that stuff.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about general spirituality or about astrology even. I'm kind of digging talking about astrology because I have
Yeah.
fun with it. I just love to geek out on astrology. I just get like I go full on
I
geek.
love learning about it. I'm just like,
Yeah. I haven't been this geeky about something since like Lord of the Rings when I was like 13 or whatever. I was like so into that. This is the same feeling as I got back then. I was like, oh God, this is so
that's
much
like
fun.
how I am about mythology.
Yeah. Oh my God. Mythology is the best. Mythology is amazing because, once again, just like astrology, it's another example of something extremely sophisticated being buried in something that looks extremely simple, that comes from a culture that's way before we were organized yet. That's so special.
Hmm.
Mary, can we talk about astrological cusps? Yeah, we totally can, because we got like a pure first degree. How many planets do you have in your first degree again in your chart? You have an insane
Six,
amount of first degree stuff in your chart.
6 or 7. I don't know.
Yeah, but you know, when it comes to cusps, I see some people that basically they treat the cusp as if, because they're on the cusp, they're pretty much two signs at one time. And to me, it's not so much that way. To me, like just like two paint strokes of red and green that are right next to each other. Yeah, there's going to be definitely a couple little overlap lines. Like if you look with a microscope and you zoom in a bit, you'll see like little green, a single hair, hair from the paintbrush got some green over on the red, maybe a couple red splotches over on the green, but they are two different signs still. They are two different signs, but you get aspects
Yeah.
of them. But you have some really strong cusp energy. So why
Well,
don't you tell them about?
first is my son. I was born on the first day of Aquarius. So I'm definitely an Aquarius, like, no doubt about it. But
Yeah,
the one thing is, though, I feel like with anybody who's on that Aquarius Capricorn cusp, I've noticed like there's so much creative talent. Like anybody that's on that cusp right there. Like I feel like it's being able to like channel that energy and bring it into the physical realm because of that Capricorn energy that's kind of like,
oh yeah,
you know, bouncing over to you a little bit. But I definitely think that it's not like you're both signs. I think it's like different aspects of the signs. Like if you're closer to one or the other one. Like if you're an Aquarius closer to Pisces, I feel like there'll be different aspects other than if you're like an Aquarius close to Capricorn.
yeah. No, I think that's what it is, and I think that they're always interesting. Cusp people are always interesting. Whenever I see someone who's like a Cancer Leo cusp, they're just on the cusp between Cancer and Leo. I'm like, okay, so they might be a Cancer, but I can expect there's some pretty crazy like splashes of intensity with this person as well. There's cusp people always have these like hidden talents or hidden places within their minds that's really interesting, and you can like feel it the more you tap into their chart. Um, Danny, I love your question, and this is actually one that I wish I could address on a massive scale. Can you look at a chart and know what a person's purpose is? Yes and no. So, yes, I can look at your chart and say your purpose is revolving around this, and this. And they're going to be feelings and talents and skills that you have. What you can't do with the chart, at least not to a degree that I've ever seen done accurately, is say you'd be great as like a nurse. You'd be great as like a lawyer, specifically using a profession for someone's purpose. And the reason for that is because that's not what the stars are projecting. There's not, there isn't like planet Mars isn't like, conjuncted with your midheaven and it's like sending down a beam to Earth and it's like, be a lawyer, be a lawyer. It's like not doing that. But what it is doing is it's like, you're really good at taking action and quick response. Like, you're really good at being an immediate responder. You think fast on your feet. You love to physically help people, aka you might make a great like EMT or something like that.
And
So
it could
it
be
doesn't point to
considered
EMT,
harder
but it just points to a bunch of
too.
skills that you can build that determination. But deep down, each and every one of us always knows the moment we've experienced that feeling of passion while painting one time and we enjoyed it more than we've enjoyed anything else, sailing, snowboarding, helping someone, like as like a lifeguard or something, whatever it is that we're passionate about, we've got an impression of that, and you can totally look at a chart and be like, hey, your entire chart is pointing towards the fact that you love to collect information and synthesize it together. So, your entire chart is pointing towards you being in a very scholarly type profession. And then you get to say, like, what do you have the most fun doing? Like, because that's really the thing. If you're doing something day in, day out, you want it to fulfill you. And it's only going to fulfill you if you're really having a good time doing it. And if you're having a good time doing it, you're just going to get more competent much easier than someone who's doing something they hate. If you do something you hate, then it'll take forever to sharpen the stone until you've eventually mastered whatever it is, because there's no pleasure in that. And it's extremely important that we connect with that.
One thing I think is like really on point with the charts is like abilities.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's
like that.
something that I was like, that is crazy. Like it's
Yeah.
so specific. What was it that mine said?
With yours, I picked up telepathy all over the place because of the way your charts, like, you have telepathy that goes in and out of like the other human constructs that you're around. It goes in and out of dimensions. It felt like your telepathy kind of applies to everything. That's how I was looking at your chart, and it was really, I remember
Like
that being really interesting.
it's
Yeah,
exactly like that. Like I'm like telepathically energy receptive, like
yeah.
to like any energies.
Oh, no, 100%. And I like the question that Angela just put forward. Can one be an amplifier for others' energy? It's like, yeah. Like there's some people that aren't doing anything wrong, but they're difficult because because they, like, the way that they are drains a lot of energy around them. And I'm not even talking about energy vampires who are being malicious. I'm talking about there are good people even who are just a lot, and their energy, like, they take in a lot of energy, but their output usually matches that insane amount of energy that they're taking in. So you can also be someone who amplifies. I've met people who don't exactly know what their purpose is. They don't exactly know what direction they're going in. They don't always have like a defined thing that they're doing, but anytime they enter the room, everyone else who felt unhappy or uncertain that day kind of feels this kick of energy around them, and
Yeah,
it
there's like
applies. Absolutely.
projectors. There's people that
Yeah.
project a lot. So, like
Yeah.
either they can project to like people around them, or like sometimes if people are like really emotionally upset, they can like project that pain like specifically to that person. That's happened before with like energies. It's
Yeah.
really annoying.
Yeah, I know for sure. It's insane. And to Danny, yeah, as far as the telepathic, picking that up in the chart, you were asking earlier about career path and stuff like that, finding purpose and everything. For me, before I had my first natal chart done for me, I had only seen astrology as like the newspaper astrology, where it was like, if you're a Gemini, you might feel something today. It's like, well, yeah, like that's as basic as it gets. And then when I had my chart reading done, though, I didn't get told what my purpose was, but I because all of my stuff is in Libra, pretty much all of it. It talked about how, for me, communicating with the world and broadcasting myself to the world was, the most important thing. Making things fair, providing education, but specifically it was in the eighth house. And what's the eighth house all about? It's about the occult. It's about life and death. It's about the rebirth and transformation process and spirituality. So everything that I am pointing to the eighth house happens to be perfectly connected with what I actually do for a living, which is, I'm sort of like a spiritual teacher of some kind. Like I don't even like to use the word spiritual because there's just so many people that have used it for so many different things now. And there's really no other word to use for it. But, I'm interested in all these subjects, and it's not like the chart anywhere said, go on YouTube or go on Facebook and like do lives and teach classes and stuff, but it does point you to the exact subjects that are going to connect to your passion points the most. And those passion points, of course, will always connect to the most finances and the most joy and fulfillment. So it's just brilliant.
If you guys wouldn't mind sharing this out too, we would
Oh
really
yeah, I'd love
appreciate
that.
it.
I'd love it if you guys shared that. Yeah, Angela, I get what I call energy drunk, where I don't really go to high energy places a lot. Yeah, what do you pick up about that?
Me?
Yeah,
Um, well, I know that it can be a kid. I think for you, maybe your energy is trying to like match the energy that's around you. You're trying to like put out the same, but that doesn't might not work as well for you. Um, so I think maybe, or if you're an empath and you're allowing yourself to like take in other people's energy everywhere you go, that's something that can be really exhausting. You don't have to. Like, I set intentions where I don't like empathically feel other people's energy unless I specifically say that I'm doing a reading for them. But I mean, it still happens, but not as much.
yeah,
It's like there's certain people that really project around you, and like you could really just like feel that. But for the most part, it's like I don't, because it gets so intense. Like, it can be like
yeah.
super intense. So, yeah.
The energy drunkenness I've only felt a few times, and it's been whenever I've done a multi-person energy healing on someone, where me and like a few other people all kind of like team up and we all aim for the exact same intention towards something. And I feel like there's been times where I've taken in too much energy, or that maybe I've distributed too much, and at the end of it I just feel like literally drunk, as if I had just had maybe three or four mixed drinks. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, but empaths probably get it much
Right,
much more
Riskin? It's
intensely.
like it can be super intense, especially the energy surges. Like
Yeah.
it like comes down. And it's like intense feelings of energy, like shooting down from my crown chakra. It could be a lot.
Oh, thank you, Allison. I appreciate that. I love the arrow and everything. Yeah, anyone who clicks the heart button wins. What you're totally
Yeah,
saying is very
everybody
true for
who
me.
clicks the heart button is the winner.
I'm empathic and I find astrology and everything spiritual fascinating. Yeah, Pauline. Heck yeah. No, and so Miss Rise in Aquarius, I'm a Libra, and it sounds like yeah, you're us air signs are just we're so interested in really strange stuff like this. And it's a lot of fun for us. And water signs have a really easy time flowing with it and getting into it. Fire signs have a really easy time bringing it to a very passionate level and like inspiring people to give it a try and connect with it. And earth signs have a very easy time about putting it down to earth and explaining the principles that are sort of the underlying structure. And so it's like all of us in the zodiac have our own special ways of being fascinated with it and bringing it to life and talking about it and learning about it. It's just yeah, it's astrology's a beautiful thing. It's like the closest map to spirituality that I've ever found, and I think it's because it doesn't try to be a map to spirituality. It tries to be a map of meaning in a certain way, and it accidentally succeeds in teaching you a lot about your spiritual journey. All right. How's it going, Joseph? Um, yeah, do you see any comments?
But
I've been I said, do you see any comments? I've been talking for like 8 hours straight. So
I thought you said Kathy. I was like, I thought you
oh
meant
yeah, Kathy. Do you
mention
see
that.
Kathy? That's a comment of a
What's the
person playing.
comments? I'm like, let's see. Any questions, guys?
Mm. Lynn, Virgo sun. Loved astrology since I was a young kid. Yeah, Virgos are really good at astrology. Virgos put that down to earth. They get it. They're able to to figure out the mechanics of astrology really well. Virgos are almost always competent in like the spiritual work I see them do.
I feel like Virgo can be competent in any,
Yeah, right.
like any subject that they pick.
It's tough.
A Taurus and a Leo.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. What do you think?
I don't know. It could either be like really fun for them, or it could be like butting heads. Like, I feel like I don't know. I feel like Leos can be more showy, like, physically, like to be, like, look good, like on point, whatever. And I feel like a lot of Tauruses are really, like, laid back, kind of, in that aspect. So I don't see, like, anything, like, too crazy, but I feel like there could be kind of like, I don't know about this person too much. Like, they're both pretty, like, eccentric, though, and Leo likes to be more of like the main focus. So that's like where I think it could kind of bump heads a little bit. But I could
Yeah.
work also if like the Taurus can be good at grounding someone that's a Leo more.
Yeah, I agree with that. And relationship wise, April, I mean, they're both fixed signs. So to me, that they have to, if you have a Leo and Taurus together, they have to have at least a pretty similar value system. Because if one of them is like a free spirit and the other one is like very conservative, there's just no way that they won't argue the relationship to death. They they have to kind of be on the same page. They can be a little bit different than each other or whatever, but they have to be kind of the same as far as some of their values. But to me, my diagnosis for a Leo Taurus relationship would all come down to what life phase they're in, because Taurus can get down to brass tacks and be really serious in their life and be very focused on their goals and getting the material things as well as the emotional structure that they want, and they can be focused on that like so much. But there are phases of their life where they're just kind of here to have fun and they enjoy the material things, but they don't necessarily go for getting it. They kind of get, in a haze sometimes. Whereas Leo's always going to be focused on the appearance of certain things, the appearance of themselves, the appearance of, even the appearance of their personality. So they're always going to be focused on that appearance. So I would say you kind of have to have a mature Leo who's sort of over being focused on flashiness with a Taurus that's starting to get serious or has already gotten serious.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they could both be in their flashy, fun, do whatever phase, and I think they'd have a fun relationship, but I don't know if it'd be necessarily long lasting.
Right.
I think that, yeah, I think that they respect each other a lot, though. I think that Taurus likes the way that Leo cleans themselves up without anyone saying anything. They just do it. And I think that Leo likes that Taurus says what they mean and means what they say. They say it loudly. They say it proudly. And Leo's like, wow, that's something like that. That has my respect. So I would say that they definitely respect each other a surprising amount for two such explosive signs. But yeah, they could be a good relationship. I just don't think. I think that if you have a young, flashy Leo and they're in a relationship with a Taurus who's kind of over that fun, go with the flow phase, and they're sort of like getting serious, I think the Leo would just annoy them to death. And I think the exact same could apply the other way, because I think Leo would start to get, if Leo was kind of over it and sort of more mature, I think they would get annoyed with Taurus just going with the flow so much. But once again, sometimes you get relationships where the opposites complement each other well. I just think that it's all about life phase. I think it's about age would
Yeah,
be a
it
huge
is.
part of it.
Like you and me, if
Yeah.
you look at our natal chart together,
Yeah.
it's like says that we would have a lot of issues.
You'd think that we're
basically.
at each other's throats 24/7 based looking at our natal chart. Almost
Yeah.
everything we have is opposed to each other. And then it's
Hmm.
squared on a bunch of other things as well.
But
It's wild.
it's like perfect. Like we've had this conversation so many times, like how much we balance each other out so perfectly. But
Yeah.
we've also had to go through like and work on like different like issues like that we had in our personalities. Like
Yeah.
because if this was like, you know, like 5 years ago or something like that, or even more than that, like it could have not been like as
Yeah, no,
perfect.
if we had met each other 10 years ago or 5 years ago, like we'd be completely different people. We'd be like, I don't know about
Yeah.
this, but we met each other just after some like hyper transformative events in our lives. And it's like we
Yeah.
both kind of like landed. We finally landed and we're like, yeah, I know exactly who I am and what I'm going for now.
It's like
And
he
then we
went
met each
through
other.
like his ascension and I went through my ascension. And it's like that mine was like I think for both of us it was life changing, like
Yeah.
completely life changing. I think before even before my ascension that we may have not like clicked, but because like, all like these aspects like changed and I think completely differently now. We're like literally just like perfect for each other. I
Yeah.
don't think like I don't think like there could be any couple like more perfect for each other. And
Yeah.
but our charts say that, you know, it could be a lot of issues.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, and I think there totally would have been 5 years ago if we had met when before. That's why
Mm,
I'm super excited when we met. Yeah, yeah, Desiree, we're dating. We're together. We're gonna be together forever.
yes.
Yeah. She got locked into a contract. I tricked her. I was just like, I had a contract out. It was like love me forever contract. I told her it was just like an autograph, and she signed it, and then so she's stuck with me now. So forever. That's pretty great.
Forever.
That's right. That's right.
Can you love someone and not be with them?
Yeah.
I think you
Oh yeah.
can. There's different kinds of love. There's definitely different kinds of love. Like going like I know I just sound like I'm so braggy about a relationship, but like um it's just like different when you're like when it's like a true like connection and true love. It's like from both sides. It's like fully connected. Like that's like a real love. You know what I mean? But you can have love for somebody. You can like you know and not
Yeah.
be.
A lot of it comes down to language too, like language and concepts, because in the Western idea of love, it's like you're in love or you're not. Like the moment someone is like your ex or something, like you suddenly hate them is like our idea a lot of times in the West. And it's like just in Russia, for example, I can't remember, it's like Ribnaldo or Robnaldo or something Naldo, but there's this word that represents a feeling that we don't even talk about in America. We don't have like a word for it. It's a love you have for someone whom you used to love romantically, but now you like love them almost like a family member, or you love them like a
Platonically.
special friend, like, but it's not romantic anymore. There's been like a transition in the love. And we don't ever talk about that. And that's so important. We need to, like, there's no reason to just hate every person that we've ever seen with. So yeah, I think there's totally, I've got I've got people in my life whom I've been in relationships with that I've got tons of respect for and tons of love for, but the love changed. It shifted into a what resembles a platonic love, but it's like a family type of love or like a friend love now. And it's just yeah, I think love evolves if you're being honest with it. I think some confuse attachment for real love. Yeah, I
That's
would say attachment, confusing attachment for real love is like one of the biggest common mistakes on Earth, on the
mm-hmm.
whole Earth, because we just, it's driven by both societal uh, lack of lack of discernment and taking time to think about it, but there's an evolutionary element to it too. There's a time where you're a teenager, you're driven by hormones and stuff, and you literally see someone pretty and actually think you're in love with them and haven't been educated on what love means yet in any sort of philosophical sense. So it's not always our fault for confusing that, but there's a lot of people that are like 25, 30, and they're getting married to someone who they don't love at all. They're just kind of attached to the person as a vehicle to their goals. Like the person is a vehicle to getting married and having the kids and doing the thing, like, and meeting the goalposts of what a relation they want in a relationship, and they miss the whole point. And they, at first it feels fine, and then 3 years in, they start to wonder why they're so depressed and like why they don't feel fulfilled and all these different things. And they're like, shouldn't I be totally fulfilled? I got everything I wanted. And it's like, well, yeah, but you didn't actually love the person. You just loved the idea of you guys being married and having the kid and doing the, and so it's like, it's just sad. It's sad that we think about love in such a bizarre, shallow way, and not just the simple way. Simple way is, if you're feeling deeply in love, it feels like just the most magical thing in the world. Just follow it and just go with it, and talk about difficult stuff and talk about easy stuff, and stare into each other's eyes and annoy everyone else in the room by doing it. Like, just be like weird with that person. It's like, yeah, you just gotta go with it.
I love you.
Alex, modern monogamy may be induced by attachment disorder. Yeah, I mean, there's a big philosophical, there's a huge debate you can have about monogamy versus polyamory versus polygamy versus completely free, open source loving people and free love. It's a complicated subject. I don't think anyone has the right answer. I think that we actually, as a human species, are so diverse that some people literally are designed for monogamy. They literally are, and some people are designed for polyamory. And also, on top of that, they're not changed to one of those forever, that shifts over time and actually ebbs and flows. So yeah, my belief on it is that we do way too much rule making, and we try and figure out what the right way to love people is. And that's the stupidest thing in the world, because love can't be controlled. You can't control it. You can't make sense of it. It's something that you flow with it, or you try and make a bunch of rules and then you mess it up. And that's just the truth.
Right.
That's just the
like
true situation.
Everybody just always kept their role to do it. No, I want it like this, and this. Like, I mean,
No, Alex, yeah, you're preaching to the choir. No, I totally get you. We've been structured in polyamory for thousands upon thousands of years. The human species went down to like 10,000 people after a major disaster at one point, and the only thing that saved us was polyamory. We didn't make it as a species by having one man, one woman, one child, like births over and over again. That's not how the human species lived. We created ourselves by being, it was orgy parties everywhere, like all the time, up until we finally got to a point where we started doing the one man, one woman thing pretty recently in the past few thousand years. So like,
because it hasn't been like as necessary like that. Like, there were certain times when having like many people and building that social structure was like the safest thing to do for your family.
Yeah.
And like, the men would like leave and stuff, like they could be killed, like there was so many different things. So it was like the women could like have each other there.
Yeah, and so I definitely hear what you're saying. It's induced by systems of control and incentive for breeding purposes. I definitely hear that. There are some cases though where people genuinely do want to be monogamous. There are some cases where people genuinely are polyamorous, and I think that you got to remember, this is the first. We're like in the first couple generations where people have children and all the children survive. Like that's like a big just 2 generations ago, it was like people would have like 10 kids and they'd be like, okay, like 4 of them will live, like, or maybe 3 generations back, like I'll have 10 kids, maybe 4 of them will live and make it, because infant mortality rates are like, they just sort of been going way down because of modern medicine. So like we're now in a place where it's like we're choosing to have children, like one of them, or we're choosing way later in life in a statistical sense. So yeah, I think that people though understand that they're free now. I think that there's enough people that have gotten married and gotten divorced, enough people that have stayed single for longer, that we all totally understand we have the right to be whatever we want to be. If we want to be monogamous, if we want to be polyamorous, honestly, I think we should all just be honest. If we're just all honest, then that's the easiest thing. If you honestly are polyamorous, just say you are and just be with people who are cool with that. If you're honestly monogamous, just be with one person and do that. We don't have to do anything. The government can say it's good or bad to be monogamous or polyamorous all they want. That doesn't mean anything. Like, we get to do whatever we want. This is America, you know?
Like, do what is best
yeah.
for you. Whatever is best for you is exactly what you should do.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. I just hope you know that I hear what you're saying. I agree with you. Like, a lot of people have these bizarre, warped views that polyamory is some sort of disgusting, bizarre thing. It's like, no, it's like the basis for the human species, you guys. Like, come on.
Wait, are you talking
Judith.
to me?
Oh, no, I was talking to Alex.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, like, yeah, I get it. And I think it's different for everybody. Like, you know, if you're somebody that's what's best for you, like, do it.
Judith, my husband and I loved each other. We still do. He has passed away 21 years ago. He watches over me and the rest of my other children. We never even thought or felt anything about anyone else or each other. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, there's some people that genuinely, they're just, they're very, very singular with the person that they love. I think that's awesome. I just think, I think it's great. I just think as long as we don't ever step into the role where we try and prescribe to people, where we try and prescribe to them that you must only feel this way towards one person. Because then when biologically we have like a thought about someone else or something, we think, oh, there's something wrong with me. Like, I'm a sinner, you know, I'm a terrible person. And it's like, you know, there's so many elements to love and to sexuality and to life. It's a complicated thing. But yeah, it was an interesting branch topic for sure, polyamory. Right, Amanda? Yeah, different strokes for different folks, exactly. I'm back. What did I miss? Oh, Angela, we just had like a whole talk about polyamory and monogamy. It was interesting. And I would say that the Zodiac natal chart says a lot about the way that you love people too. If you look at your Mars placement, you look at your Venus placement, you can tell a lot about the way people think about it. But yeah, does anyone else have any other questions? Like, any other topics you guys want to talk about? Just comment below and let us know. And make sure to share this out if you haven't already. We'd really appreciate that.
How long have we been doing the live for?
Let's see. What are energy shifts that you can physically feel and see it shift in two directions?
I would say Gemini.
Yeah. Oh, I'd say, yeah, no, definitely. Let's take a look. So it's 8:32 now. I don't know what time we started. Let me see if I can pick it up this way. It is currently, yeah, about an hour. We've been doing this about an hour now. You wanna spend a little bit more time doing some questions? You guys want to ask some final questions? But yeah, any topic or specific topics? Yeah, anything. It can be anything. We're just doing kind of like a spiritual Q&A today. We've talked about polyamory, monogamy. We've talked about astrology, natal chart readings. We talked about intuition. We talked about lots of interesting, fun things. Yeah. An hour and 19 minutes. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that. Yeah, we've been on for 79 minutes. So we'll make it a solid 88. That way it'll be perfect. I'm glad it's helpful, Morgan. Yeah, we just want to do more fun lives where we just come on and we just talk to you guys for a while. It's really important to do that because it's a good way that we can. Okay, I guess I will not get your opinion. No, it's okay though. Oh, if you're talking about the energy shifts, Rusan, is it Rusan or Rusan? As far as energy shifts that you physically... Oh, yeah. We were mentioning earlier that it was like Gemini energy, but there's not a classification for that type of energy shift. It's just you apparently are someone who's really tuned in to the point where you can feel energy shifts. Not everyone can feel them. So if you feel an energy shift in two different directions, I mean, what does that represent? Well, it's kind of like the
or
Gemini
opposition.
energy of light and dark. Yeah, the opposition energy, the polarity energy, could be even the Libra energy. But it's clearly going to be about stepping on this tightrope. You got black surface over here, you got white surface over here, and you have to decide, okay, what's good and what's evil, what's right, what's wrong, what's good for me and what's evil for me. You know, what is true, what's false for me, and just asking some of those big questions to yourself. Anytime you feel an energy shift pull in two different directions, up or down, it's clearly about the divine masculine, divine feminine being divided, and you have to kind of reconcile that. What about you
Do we have
when
like
you
a?
start to feel those? Oh, I think we got a little bit of a lag. Yeah.
I think we do because it's been like
Yeah, it's been just off.
it's kind of been weird. um, but yeah, I agree. Like that, um, the opposition, masculine, feminine, negative, positive energies, like, and making sure that you're not like like it doesn't bring you into too much black and white. That you're
Hmm.
like really accepting like that duality, because that's something too that a lot of people don't really understand because they want to be like all love and light and like that's it, but it's like we're a lot more than that. We're a mixture of everything here. We're a mixture of like all that energies, masculine, feminine, like everything. That's like the yin and yang. So if it's being pulled too far in opposition, um, maybe take a look too and see what you could do to see that more in a gray area.
Yeah. Are you sticking your tongue out? Well, I think this is definitely a question for you. Amanda Rodriguez, empathy. How do you know if you're an empath? And before you answer that, I want to just give everybody a public service announcement about
Okay.
something. If you guys see those quizzes on Facebook that say 4 signs that you know you're an empath, I'm not saying all of them, but 90% of them are the worst thing that's ever happened. And let me explain why. Those quizzes happen to use the most vague criteria on earth. It's like, have you ever felt
You don't
sad
care
and then
about
gone through it?
anybody.
Right. Have you ever cared about someone? Have you ever felt like sad before? And it's like, well, yeah, I'm going to answer yes to all these. And let me guess. Let me guess. I'm an empath. And it's like, yeah, you're an empath, a special empath. And it's like, you're doing this for clicks. You're doing this for shares. That's
You're
not
getting
authentic
clicks for
content.
this.
I don't like you, bad quiz. And there's like so many of them. It's like, you don't even want to know number 11. And I'm like, well, okay, now I kind of want to know number 11. And
I
it's like,
know,
I
right?
start looking at it's worse because I look too. And like, I know that they're tricking me, but it's terrible. So just don't believe any of it. If you want to know if you're an empath,
It's
ask
so
Mariah
true.
because she just will just tell you straight up.
It's so true. It's like you know they're checking you, but you still like tempted. Um, but yeah, so the first like basic thing about being an empath is being able to feel, you know, like other people's emotions and stuff like that, being able to be connected to the emotions. But I think of it as more as like being able to be connected with that energy that's associated with the emotions of that person. So the emotions and energy kind of like coincide with each other. Um, if you're an empath, you feel, so you not only are capable of feeling things um, emotionally, but also you're capable of feeling energy physically. You're capable of feeling like spirit physically, like the brush up against your skin, or something like that. So there's a lot of different like aspects that come with being an empath. So you can like feel the energy, you can feel the emotions, you can feel them actually like physically, energetically through your chakras and your body. I would say a good sign is if like you're around somebody, um, you're picking up how they are feeling a lot, um, without them like saying much. That's like a pretty basic one. If you start feeling things in your chakras, that was a really early sign for me. I started feeling the blockages in my chakras. Um, and then I would feel my chakras open. So now I can feel my chakras open and closed. And I could feel when energy's coming in and when it's going out and flowing through. And I do have that activation, I guess you can call it, but it's more like an exercise to practice recognizing, being able to feel the energy along with the emotion. And I think that's really helpful for anybody who's an empath. And I'll probably be doing that in the Vibrant Self classes. I think I have that coming up that we planned, right?
Yeah, I think we're doing it this on Monday or Tuesday. So
So I'll be
yeah,
having
it'll be
that. And
awesome.
then we have the giveaway right now for a free
Oh yeah.
year membership to the Vibrant Self, where we do a class each once a week.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome. The upcoming classes, let me see what we have coming up. So far we've done a bunch of energy work classes, energy healing, astral travel, remote viewing is one we spent a lot of time on. Let's see what else we spent some time on.
The
Astrology.
good
We've done a ton
tarot
of
and
astrology work.
astrology
Yeah.
classes. He does like the best ones. It's like if you want a
Oh,
clear understanding about tarot or astrology, like he, I just like, babe, you just like amaze me
you
every
amaze
single
me.
time.
God, we're so gross.
I
People
know.
are watching us right now. We're sorry for everyone who's just
Feel
like,
it.
okay, you guys, can you, you guys just, we know, okay, we know the way that we are. We make fun of ourselves a lot for,
We're like
um,
so toned down right now, just so you guys know.
yeah, we are toning it down.
We're toned down like 80%, I would say, right now.
If we tone it up anymore, then Facebook, Facebook is gonna block us. So let me put it.
These would definitely kick us out, I think.
So yeah, I'll pin a link. I'll pin a comment for jaxatlantis.com. And yeah, Mariah, your empath class that you just did last week is in the Vibrant Self now in the bonus content section. So anyone that's joined the Vibrant Self already, just make sure to check out the new bonus content section. We got all of our webinars and free stuff in there. And then we have classes each and every week. So it'll be a lot of fun. So
Yes,
anyone who's
they're
interested, just
amazing.
ask us in the comments or message us. Yeah.
And then there's a group for everybody that's in there that we'll be doing free readings for. And then like a
Yeah.
Q&A for like what classes we did that week. So it's really fun. It'll be so great, guys. And then Judah says, Mariah, are my empathic abilities the first step in the healing I give to others? If you're an empath, then yes, definitely. Learning to feel that energy is going to be like the main thing, because that's what I use the most, is being able to feel the energy. So if I'm doing like an energy reading for somebody, I'm feeling what's going on with their energy as if it was my energy. So that helps a ton. You can feel where the blockages are. You can feel what needs healing. I can literally feel where someone has a tattoo. So it's like memory feelings.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. She's
Like
really good at that.
I could feel like any blockages in the chakra. I could feel how the energy's flowing. And then that's where, from there, I manipulate the energy.
That's an awesome answer.
Um, I'm so happy you guys are watching tonight. This was so much fun.
Yeah, I had a good time too. This was an awesome Q&A. We never know like what the turnout's going to be. If it's going to be like one person, and we're like, hey, I guess we're best friends now. I guess we're going to get to know each other really well. Or if there's going to be like 80 people at a time. It's always like a different thing each
I didn't
time.
really
But
share
it's
this
I had a really
one.
good time.
I didn't really share this one out either because
Yeah.
um I don't know. For these kind of things, it's kind of better to just like people that are serious about talking about this stuff than like just a ton of random questions. But yeah, Lexi, I've struggled a lot with being an empath. I've struggled a lot with my abilities and my gifts, like to the point where I was just like, I can't do it. Like, just like, I don't want this. Like, it was so much all the time. I just finally, like, I gained control. And then I wouldn't even, like, I was too scared to even like think about like using my abilities again for a while because it was just so much. And then so I worked a lot on gaining that control back because mine is more toning it down, like keeping it out of control so I don't like basically like float away. Like really staying grounded. That's something that's helped me a lot. I literally have to ground and clear my energies all the time. I clear my down to my chakras all the time. Um, so yeah, it was like really difficult. And then I went through my ascension, which was like the what is it called? Like the dark night of the soul, like type of thing.
Mm,
It was like
yeah.
a really like archetypal kind of journey thing that I went through, and that was super difficult. So yeah, it's been a struggle for sure. But that's why I'm here to help people so they don't have to go through all that by themselves. It was really
Yeah.
difficult.
And it's really important. And yeah, I really like your point of view on all that. Like for me, it's like I understand it, and so like I can help you like figure it out a bit, but you've like felt it, like so you understand from that point of view, and that helps a lot of people. So in the Vibrant Self, I've been doing a ton of different projects, like energy healing, astrology, things like that, with Miss Ry in the Vibrant Self. It's going to be really interesting
Because
because we're going to have a lot more
literally,
empath classes. Yeah.
literally, I've never had a mentor. I've
Yeah.
never like done anything. Everything I know is basically from my spirit journey that I went through.
Right off the
Like
dome. Yeah.
spirit just told me and taught me everything. It was more like I had to teach myself. Like I had the information they put me, like I was put through a lot of tests, like over and over and over and over again. It was pretty like it was like going through hell basically. It was really, really difficult. But so I do know it in that sense. And I get so much validation too. Like I'll just be like, oh, like this, and this. And then like especially talking to Jackson, he'll be like, yeah, like, you know. So we both like have like a really, really interesting understandings about it, and we both understand it like the same way in like little bit of different ways. It's like I really like it. I love
Yeah,
it.
me too. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, everybody. This was fun tonight. I had a good time. Make sure if you guys can share this out again, that'd be cool, just so we can get it out there. I'm gonna be posting this on my YouTube channel tonight. I'm gonna just like copy the video, put it on my YouTube channel. If anyone wants to subscribe to that, it's just Jax Atlantis. That's the channel. And that'd be really cool. And you, Miss Ry, are going to have a YouTube channel here in the next day or so. So keep an eye out for that and help her create a. You, don't stick your tongue. You're getting a YouTube channel. I'm telling you, you're getting a YouTube channel. So make sure to join that once she does do it, and she will, because
What do you
trust me.
kiss it?
But okay, yeah, we can't. We can't tell that story because I, it's bad enough that I did it, but it's even worse. I can't. Well, I mean, I can. There's no reason not to. So, so, so she was really, 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 really sick when she came to visit here a few days ago, And I was just like, "Aw, like I'll just kiss your tongue." And in retrospect, what I realized was that's like the number one way to guarantee that you get sick, because it's like the epicenter of all the germs in someone's mouth. So in retrospect, after getting violently sick for like a day and a half, I'm just like, okay, so I'm not gonna do that. But it seemed funny at the time. It seemed comical. Turns
Because it
out,
was like, I'm dying, I'm so sick. And like, you're
and
like
she would
trying to help me feel
stick out
better.
her tongue
He has
jokingly,
the
and I
sweetest
kissed her
in the
tongue.
whole entire world, by the way. Like,
Why, thank you.
oh my God, you're so
I think
sweet.
she's the sweetest.
And then, oh, and then it's like 2 minutes later, and he's like,
Yeah, she just,
he's like, wait, let me kiss you.
yeah. And in
Oh yeah,
retrospect,
like you probably
yeah. Turns out it's a bad idea. If any of you are like, should I kiss my significant other's tongue? It's like, no, don't do it. Just trust me.
not when they're
It's the
sick,
op.
at least.
Not when they're sick. Yeah, not when they're sick. It's the opposite of. Unless you're like, how can I get as many germs in me as possible in the shortest amount of time? That's the way. So, anyways.
Probably an example of a test I went through. I went through so many, like, and each of them were 100 times, at least 100 times. I can like, oh, I don't know. I'd have to think of a good one because it's like, I don't know. I'll have to do a talk sometime about like my journey, I think, so that it makes sense. Because if I just like explain it without the backstory of it, it may not like make a lot of sense. It was a lot like crazy. It was just a crazy experience. A big one was like discernment. Um, yeah, there was a lot, so many, but yeah. Um, I think I'm good with the questions for tonight.
Yeah, me too. That was really awesome, though, you guys. Thanks for joining us.
We'll go like
Did
this.
you? Oh, okay.
Oh,
Like this. That's
that's like a
that's
pet.
so. You're such a dork. Okay. Well,
Nah,
okay. You're too much, babe.
I love you.
I thank you guys. I almost said I love you guys. Okay, love you guys. We will be back. We're gonna do another live tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
We're gonna do another one tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow, announcing the class and everything, the upcoming class that we've got for empath stuff. And don't forget, I've got a pinned post. She's got a pinned
Look at the
post for the
giveaway.
giveaway. We've got a free Vibrant Self giveaway for a year membership, and
That's
there's
huge. Right?
consolation prizes and stuff like that. You just got
Yeah.
to like, comment, giveaway, and share the post. So thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight. Anyone we didn't get to, just keep an eye out for when we're doing our next live, because we'll do another live and do it for funsies. So we'll talk to you guys all tomorrow.
Okay.
Awesome.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.